So some leading opportunity sectors, as I said, I mean, we've done everything from soup to nuts for Michigan firms, but certainly there are other opportunities. A couple I want to talk about when we're talking about soup and nuts: food and agriculture. Big segment in Canada, and I met a company this morning actually that was in this, the nutraceutical health food area. That whole segment is growing about 20% a year. Part of that is really motivated by Canada's demographic. Much like the United States, we have a huge baby boomer population. An enormous segment of the population is now moving over the 65 mark, and baby boomers want to stay healthy, and so they're really interested in products and services that are going to help them do that. Other areas that I think are important, information and communications. Canada has had a relatively closed market in terms of our wireless segment. That's going to be opening up. The government has expressed that they are going to open up the wireless spectrum for foreign bidders. Verizon had expressed some interest in potentially participating in that. We'll see how that goes. Our big three communications carriers are not too excited about this, of course. They don't really want competition in the market, but I think we're really going to see that soon. And another area, of course, as I say, is oil and gas. I mean, every time I go to Alberta, I'm just amazed at how much activity is going on there and how much money there is. And really what we look at, we have in the oil and gas segment, we have both multinational producers, we have domestic producers, and then we have all the oil field service activity that goes to support that. So most of these companies are spending upwards of $50 billion a year in capital expenditure on new product, but then there's also all the maintenance, repair, and overhaul that goes into that as well. So that's an enormous segment. And the automotive area as well. We still see, obviously, there's a huge integration of the markets between Ontario and Michigan, but there are opportunities as well for some products and services. So we'll go through. Oil sands, as I mentioned, some very specific product needs in this area. Pipeline construction. Everyone's very familiar with the Keystone XL project, and we're still waiting on that approval. I know most of our oil and gas folks are holding their breath a little bit, but hoping to see that. And the funny thing is, a lot of that pipeline is actually built already, so it's just waiting for presidential approval, hopefully early next year. But really some of the specific things, especially towards pipeline efficacy has really been a big thing. And it's not just because of some of the spills and whatnot, but many of our companies are really taking environmental mandates very, very seriously and are looking for products that help with leak detection, pipeline corrosion, all of these things. Any kind of environmental remediation technology and service that can help remediate tailings, these types of things are really important. Safety and security equipment and services, anything that is able to improve safety in the field and increase or reduce the amount of human labor required are other opportunities as well. Mining, this just gives a really good view of all of the different kind of mining activity in Canada. One thing I like to say, and most folks don't know this, but Canada produces about 20% of the world's diamonds now currently, which is a pretty exciting segment. Keep going. Health and medical. A huge percentage of Canada's medical devices come from outside, typically the United States. And anything that is going to help reduce time in hospital, that type of thing, is really sought after. Canada, as you know, has a universal healthcare system. Each province is responsible for paying for funding the system and administering the system for their citizens. Most of our provinces are paying somewhere between 40 and 50% of their annual budgets on healthcare costs. So there is a huge need to reduce that. So technologies that will help that are really lauded. Food and ag, as I said, the organic and natural is kind of the thing I like to focus on a lot. We've had some good success with products in this area. One of our great clients this year did gluten-free cake batter and brownie batter. It tasted just like regular. And it was, they did fantastically well at a trade show we took them to. So as I said, this is a segment that's really growing. Other areas, one of the areas I want to focus on in here is Canada's defense industry. Canada has put forward, and the government has put forward a huge procurement strategy to rebuild the Canadian Navy. The joke was that West Edmonton Mall, Canada's premier amusement park, actually had more submarines than the Canadian Navy did in their amusement park. So this strategy is a $30 billion strategy to rebuild the Canadian Navy. Part of the real focus of this, though, is Arctic surveillance. We're seeing now, of course, with the Northwest Passage being open, that ships are going to be able to travel throughout the year. And so obviously there are a number of challenges with this. And there's not a lot of people out there, but from an environmental standpoint, from a security standpoint, so this is a big focus. So anything to do with surveillance, that type of thing is really potential. Last point I would just want to make, Canadian retail market. I think a lot of U.S. retailers are starting to realize that Canada is an underserved retail market. Target came into the market earlier this year. Nordstrom's is looking at Canada very seriously as well. So if these are customers that you're dealing with at all in the United States, this is a possibility for Canada too.